Hi, and welcome to Next Shift with Rick Wagan. Suzuki does not suck. Today, we're going to be talking about the projected third line for the Montreal Canadiens this season. We had a chance in the last couple episodes to talk about the first and second projected lines, including Slafkovsky, Caulfield, and Suzuki, as well as Newhook, Doc, and Laney. Today, we're going to be talking about Joshua Waugh, Josh Anderson, and Christian Dvorak. Let's start with Joshua Waugh. He appears to be one of the more intriguing prospects from the Montreal Canadiens that is getting a chance in the middle six this season. Like I mentioned in previous episodes, it looks like he's going to be starting on the third line with Dvorak and Anderson. Obviously, lines change all the time. This player, to me, has a tremendous upside. He was drafted in 2021 in the fifth round, 150th overall. And since that time, he's continued to progress every season. He played in the Q that year, didn't have, an amazing year, but the year after his draft year, he got 119 points, 51 goals, 68 assists in 66 games. He just blew it up. And last season, or the season before last, I should say, he had 46 goals and 53 assists, 99 points, a slight decrease, but he played 11 fewer games, mostly because he was in different events, a couple of injuries here and there, and some trades and stuff that happened at that level. He got a chance to play in Laval last season. In 41 games, he had 32 points, a very, very respectable. He had a great start. He had 13 goals as well, and then he joined the big club and played 23 games and put 4 goals in the net, 5 assists, 9 points. A respectable first 23 games in the NHL. I've been watching this player for some time. He's definitely got some interesting skill sets. He's got some drawbacks as well. If you look at this player, he's extremely smart. He's a great playmaker, has an elite shot, and I believe he could definitely fit in the Montreal middle six for many years to come. In fact, he's the type of player that can slot in the first line and help that line in the long term as well. He reminds me of a little bit of a younger Corey Perry. I know that's a bit of he doesn't have maybe the same compete level that I would call Corey Perry, but he has a lot of the same skill sets when it comes to passing, shooting, winning battles, and just being a smart overall hockey player. So I think that's my ceiling for him. Obviously, that would be an amazing career. If he can find his way into the second and third line at the Montreal Canadiens in the next few years, I think this player is going to be great. So that, and again, I believe that he'll probably get some time in the second line or first line in the middle or early part of the season at some point. Hopefully it's not due to injuries, but it could just be due to just some changes or some shaking up to make the team, more successful. The next player I want to talk about is Josh Anderson. So those people that know me know that I've had, a hate relationship with Josh Anderson. Josh Anderson has so much talent from a speed and strength perspective. And every now and then in his prime, and I'm not saying he's not in his prime, but he has had a couple of at least a year and a half of some challenges. But in his prime, he would have some really, really good games. And I think when you look at those good games, and I don't have all the stats in front of me, but what I would say is when I look at his good games, there's basically he's had 27 goals in Columbus one season. He had 21 in Montreal just a couple seasons ago. A lot of those goals come in bunches with him. They either come, 2 in a game or, 3 in 3 in 3 games. He gets streaky. When he's on a positive streak, that player is is somebody that you just wish he was more consistent. Last season he was consistent. Unfortunately, it was consistent in a bad way. He just couldn't get the puck in the net. He looked frustrated most of the time. And so when we're talking about Josh Anderson, you know, I guess the best we can ask for is to go back to where he was, which is, having those streaky games where he's solid, and then hopefully on his less, you know, productive games, he's still doing the things that make him effective, which is, winning battles, skating quickly. He definitely had some challenges, either hitting the net or scoring goals last year, and so he had a lot of opportunities. He played on the first line for a good number of the games. He played on the first power play. He played on the power play all season, either first or second. And when you're on a team and you're getting 9 goals, 11 assists, 20 points over a 78 game, year, and you get that much ice time, and challenge and opportunities, that's definitely a red flag. That being said, again, that player can be great. And if he is great, the Montreal Canadiens will only be better. So, giving him an opportunity with Joshua and in the third line, and he's another player that can jump up to the second line and replace a new hook, or, replace somebody that gets injured if necessary. And he can fit in and help. He gets the pucks in the corners. He gets, he uses his speed. I'm not completely against the guy, but from my perspective, he lacks some hockey sense, some passing ability, and some accuracy on his shot. That's not great stuff, but obviously the Montreal Canadiens invested in him. He's definitely somebody that has been talked about for some time on the trading block. We'll see how it all pans out this season. And I'm not hoping against him. I'm not betting for him, but betting on him, I should say. So we'll see. Again, Josh Anderson. What I will say positive is he had a great playoff run with the Montreal Canadiens that last season. Where the Canadiens went to the Stanley Cup Finals. If he can revive his career this year, or the team gets into the playoffs, I think this kind of player is and could be a valuable asset in the playoff type hockey, day in, back-to-back days, playing the same teams, getting, using his physicality, using his speed, can only help in a 7-game series. So from that perspective, I don't think he's a liability per se, but again, he needs to perform much better than he did last year. And then the last player we're going to talk about today is Christian Dvorak. Christian came to us, I guess, via a trade with the Phoenix Coyotes. The Canadiens gave up a first-round draft pick for him. I think some other assets as well. I have to look. And basically, if you recall, that was the same summer that the Montreal Canadiens lost Jesperi Kotkaniemi. And so Jesperi was signed by the Carolina Hurricane for an insane amount of money, that just, obviously it was a bit of a revenge for what the Montreal Canadiens did with Sebastian Aho the year before. Although in this case, it was just a sum that I don't think I agree with the Montreal Canadiens for not matching that offer. I think it looks like he's been a bit of a bust. Overall, I think he's getting paid handsomely due to that offer. I don't think he deserves it from a production perspective. So we'll see. But where we're going with that is Montreal Canadiens, in somewhat of a desperation move, used some assets that they got. I mean, they got a first-round pick for that, and they used some assets to get Christian Dvorak. Christian looked really good as a young player in Phoenix. He had multiple 15-goal, 18-goal seasons. He had an injury plague season in 18-19. And then he came over in 21 to the Montreal Canadiens. He's kind of, hovered around 10 goals. Last year, only 5, but he played 30 games. Definitely an injury-prone centerman. I look at him as an elite face-off guy. Obviously, he's in the 57, 52, 56 over the last 3 years. So he wins a lot of draws, which is an important asset in my mind. I don't think face-offs are given enough credit and importance at the NHL level, at any level, to be honest. I think, getting possession of the puck is a key asset, and having a player like that win most of the time or much above average is key. He has a strong shooting percentage as well. He doesn't take a lot of shots, but when he does, he gets, he scores goals. And so from that perspective, putting him in a third line, he has some offensive upside, which I think, playing with a Roy, playing with an Anderson, playing with, somebody at that level, and we'll see who kind of fits in the third line over the year. It might be a new hook, it might be other players. Hopefully that drives offense from this player. He's a 200-foot centerman, solid, strong player, doesn't have many weaknesses, doesn't have many elite strengths other than maybe faceoffs. He's a strong skater, he's a strong forechecker, he wins battles, he plays well defensively. A good solid hockey player that fits in as a bottom six. He's solid, middle six. I don't know if he'd fit in on a second line too often, but on this team, third center maybe. We'll see how it all plays out over the next year or two. He has a big contract relatively for what he produces, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the trading block as well. The third line is interesting this year. We'll see how it plays out all season. I think this is an area where it'll kind of, again, interchange with players on what is being deemed the fourth line, which again, I think they have two third lines. We'll talk about, Armia, Gallagher, and Evans next time. But looking at the season moving forward, this could be a line that, Anderson needs to produce a little bit more. Waugh needs to progress, but he looks really promising. And if Dvorak can stay healthy and actually get some offensive, reps in, it could be a solid third line for the Montreal Canadiens. So I'm excited about this line. Not as excited as the top six players, or top five players, I should say. Again, Alex Newhook, Joshua Waugh, in my mind, are interchangeable. Not from a talent perspective. They do, one is a speed guy, the other one's not. But where I'm saying is they can kind of fit in on those lines interchangeably and provide a different skill set, obviously. But I see them moving around a little bit. So excited for this third line, this group of three. Looking forward to seeing how they progress. Oliver Kapanen had a great first day of camp, and he's going to knock on the door, and he doesn't belong on the fourth line, so he'll be in those middle six if he can get in there. Again, it'll be hard to move some of these players with their contracts, etc. Hughes and Gorton might be looking to do a trade still. Players like Anderson, Gallagher, Armia, and Dvorak have big contracts, and they have a bunch of kids like Beck and Kapanen and others that are knocking on, and Henneman, that are knocking on the door to get some ice time. If they can, make something happen there, it would be interesting how it all plays out. But till next time, next shift, this is Rick Wagan, and Suzuki does not suck. Thank you.